Hello, it's me, Hazel. It's been a really long time and my channel has become quite the empty desert, which I'm not the proudest of. So, what have I been doing for the last year, you might be asking? Well, aside of absolutely working my ass off for art class, I've been playing Persona for the last 8 months of my life. Yeah, I was introduced to the series by a friend on Twitter talking about how great of a game Persona 4 is, and to my knowledge at the time I only knew about Persona 5's existence because Joker was kinda everywhere. So knowing that Persona didn't actually start with 5 was mind-boggling to me. Crazy, I know. You could easily say I was hooked. I saw the graphics and said, oh, that looks charming as hell, and when my friend let me play on his Nintendo Switch account, I knew I was in for a treat. And putting it lightly, it's kinda my favorite game of all time now. It took me 4 months to beat the game because of high school, and you could say that I loved the series since. I know that I kinda solidified myself as a Sonic tuber since my only videos were about Sonic, but I figured it's time to talk about something that I find interesting. So, is Persona 4 Golden as great as people say? Is it worth checking out in 2025? Watch this video to know. It's also worth noting that this video will be spoiler free, so feel free to enjoy the video without worries. Also, if it's your first time on the channel, please like, subscribe, and comment with your personal opinion on the game. That would be very awesome. Also, check me out on Twitter and donate to my coffee. It's in the description below. And with that out of the way, let's get this started. For people who aren't aware, Persona 4 Golden is a re-release of the original Persona 4 on the PS2, the 4th game in the Persona series, a sub-series from a much larger franchise called Shin Megami Tensei, a very well-known JRPG developed by Atlus where you play as the protagonist in a post-apocalyptic world full of demons and angels to fight and negotiate with, and it was unique at the time due to the amount of endings based on the choices you make. If you wanted to side with chaos you could, same applies with siding with law or just being neutral with tons of branching endings in between. It was also infamous for being called an edgier Pokemon because of its recruitment aspect where any enemy you negotiate with could fight on your side. The first game released on the Super Nintendo in 1992 and it was a massive success in Japan, which resulted naturally in a sequel coming in many sub-series based on it, most remarkably Digital Devil Saga, Devil Summoner, and this video's subject, the Persona series. With its first game, Persona 1, released in 1996, the series gained popularity fast because of its psychological themes and character-driven stories, with the third installment being a wide success selling almost 750,000 copies across all versions. That was also the game that solidified Persona as a franchise to the West, since Shin Megami Tensei was most known in Japan, which is part of the reason why Persona is more popular in the West than SMT. After Persona 3's success, Persona 4 was just a matter of when, and that was 2 years after. Releasing in 2008 on the PS2, it became a massive success in the West and Japan, paving the way for many spin-offs and the TV adaptation to happen. It was the game that resulted in the Persona series being as well known as it is, until Persona 5 came out later and crushed all numbers, but we'll talk about that later. In August 2011, Persona 4 Golden was announced, an enhanced re-release of the original P4 with a reworked expanded story, many quality of life changes, new gameplay features, and a new character. It was planning to release on the PS Vita, a console that was deemed a failure by Sony to an extent, and the reason it released on it was because of Persona 3 Portable, a re-release of P3 that had a lot of changes to work properly on the PSP, which was unsatisfactory to Atlus, so they chose the Vita for being significantly more powerful. I don't know why they didn't go for the PS3, but I guess I can't argue against that. At the time, the amount of people who bought the PS Vita just to play Persona 4 Golden was insane. I personally wish I was old enough to witness that for myself, but it definitely helped the PS Vita's overall sales. The game was deemed both a commercial and a critical success with a whopping 93 score on Metacritic and 2.5 million copies sold worldwide because of its addicting gameplay, amazing relatable cast, and unforgettable soundtrack. At the time of me writing this video, there are rumors that are almost confirmed of a remake going on that will be announced soon enough. Talk about convenient. I may make another video on that when it releases, but until then, let's review Persona 4 Golden. You open up the game and you're welcomed by the animated opening. Oh my god! It's really charming actually, it's colorful, stylish, it introduces the main cast very well and it has neat foreshadowing that definitely blew my mind on rewatch the more I played the game. And the song Shadow World, sung by Shihoko Hirata, is what I would describe as a banger. After the opening's over, the main menu starts with the beautiful main theme, and oh god, it really hits the spot. With the dominant yellow and the TV show-like aesthetics, since if you haven't noticed already, the game revolves a bit too much around TVs. I love this menu a lot, especially the TV listing options that gives you access to a lot of Persona 3 and Persona 4 media, from trailers, concerts, cutscenes, soundtrack, etc. It's pretty good stuff. Persona games are known for sticking to something to represent the game with, especially a color and an object. Persona 3 was the color blue in the moon, Persona 5 was the color red and black with masks, and Persona 4 was yellow in TV shows, especially the Weather Reports program, which is relevant in the story. You press new game, choose the difficulty, god the menus are so goddamn smooth, then you start your journey with Mr. Longnose and his odd chick guiding you through. You're told to type your name, and I see you getting pretty creative there. You're told that shit's gonna get serious pretty soon, and then get sent outside to touch grass and socialize. Right after that, oh what the hell, it's just an ad. You're shown the protagonist, Yuna Orkami or Optimus Prime 69, I don't know, the choice is yours really. Anyways, you're a high schooler sent by your parents to spend a year in a small town called Inaba with your uncle and his daughter Nanako, aka best character in the game, I'm telling you. You meet your new friends, Yosuke and Chie, and then weird things start to happen. A woman's body was hanging in the middle of the street in a really creepy way during a foggy morning, and you hear from school about a secret TV show called The Midnight Channel, so you investigate. You realize you have the power to enter the TV screen somehow and discover a parallel world full of monsters called shadows. And also you meet Teddy, you summon your persona, beat some asses, and then realize that someone is pushing people into the TV, resulting in their weird death in foggy days. So throughout the year you go into the TV with your new friends to save people before foggy days so they don't meet the same fate, while also searching for the real culprit behind all this. The game has an exceptional sense of mystery throughout its entirety. The murder mystery aspect always kept me hooked, and the way the story is represented feels alive in so many ways. It never got me feeling bored, because it always had new things in store, and it's great. I always loved the visuals in this game. Something about the almost low poly graphics, simple UI, and clean gradient colors for the character portraits is so filled with charm, it's actually great. There's a clean art style here and it reflects the simplicity of the setting. And the game does a great job at making you interested in all characters with every line of dialogue, and there's more to introduce for the next few hours of the game. So overall, the game, although some would argue it looks old, which isn't necessarily a wrong argument, it still holds pretty strongly with its really lively soundtrack, charming visuals and atmosphere, and how smooth it just feels. It really succeeds at making me invested with it entirely from the start for the reasons already mentioned, and others that I'll be mentioning in the... It's about time we start discussing the game part of the game. The gameplay in Persona 4 Golden is split into two parts, starting with the daily life activities where you live an honest life as a high schooler. Make friends, get a job, make more friends, touch grass, read a book, get in clubs, go to cinema, do well in class, and so much more. All to improve your social stats, which are knowledge, diligence, expression, understanding, and courage. Those stats help your relationships with characters grow, and make bonds with them, aka social links. Every main and side character has their own unique social links where you spend time with them and listen to them trauma dump on you for gameplay benefits. I'll discuss those more later, but you can't just do anything you want at any time. No, you gotta balance things out. The game has a calendar system, since you're gonna have to manage your time every day because everything you do progresses time. So talk to characters that you're interested in and do shit that seems cool, but always balance it out. Another aspect of the game is the dungeon crawling, where you and the gang enter the TV to save whoever gets pushed in it. Every dungeon is floors based, with each one of them usually having 8 to 10 floors. They're those randomly generated places that you unlock more of the more you go through them, and your progress is displayed in the minimap. They're not usually that long. You go through some doors, open some chests, fight some enemies, and search for the stairs to the next floor, and that's how the cycle goes, with some puzzles in certain dungeons. It's not perfect by any means, and it definitely gets overshadowed by Persona 5's fully designed palaces, but it's extremely fun regardless, especially with every dungeon's unique theme, which I won't be showing much of past the second dungeon for spoiler purposes. Now, the combat is more interesting. Persona 4 Golden is a turn-based RPG, and I know that just hearing that may turn some of you real-time action fans off, but hear me out for a sec, alright? Persona 4's turn-based combat system is quite easy to get used to. Persona 4 was my first game in the genre, so I was hesitating, especially since I'm not a fan of the hit and get hit type of gameplay, which is also why I haven't played games like Dragon Quest, older Final Fantasy title, or Earthbound for example. No hate for these games of course, but I've always had a weak impression of them, especially as someone who grew up with games like Kingdom Hearts or Jak and Daxter series. But there are a lot of changes that make Persona 4's combat more interesting, those being the affinities and the one more systems. To explain it simply, every party member has has their own persona, and there are a bunch of attacks you can cast like fire, ice, wind, and electricity, etc. And every enemy has their own affinities that makes them weak or resistant toward a certain element. By using the right element, you get one more turn to attack and deal more damage, and if all enemies are knocked down, you can do an all-out attack with the entire party. But all that applies to your party members too, so it opens the room for a lot of strategy to how you use your turns. It's honestly pretty addicting, not gonna lie. It makes for a very fun time that doesn't bore you to death in the slightest, and it helps that there isn't any random encounters, so you can pick or ignore any fight you want to pace yourself. Though with that banger of a battle theme, fights can never get old. Reach Out for the Truth and Time to Make History are some of the best songs I've ever heard in an RPG, but that can also be applied to the whole game's soundtrack anyways. Another important aspect of the gameplay is the persona fusions. Since the main character can wield multiple personas, you can collect new ones by performing well in battle and entering shuffle time, which gives you bonuses like XP and money raise or new personas. Those you can take to Mr. Longnose to fuse them into more powerful personas you can use. There's a compendium and a huge list of personas you can fuse, each with their unique affinities and design. Oh god damn it, shit, I've already talked about how the story starts, so I'll keep this section for my thoughts. The story in Persona 4 is incredible. The pacing is great, and although there is so much side stories and slice of life events, the game still manages to maintain the focus on the main plot, which is great. The mystery is so intriguing and the twist blew me away. It's definitely a special story to experience blindly. The characters are so lovable with so many funny and memorable scenes along the way, and the iconic voice cast kills it with some of the funniest deliveries I've ever heard in anything.
Oh, my trial of the dragon!
It just adds a layer of life to every character with how good and in-depth they're written. It just makes for my favorite cast of all time. It's genuinely such a shame that the voice cast won't be returning for the remake though. But anyways, regarding social links, Persona 4 has really powerful side characters, with each one of them having their own stories that frankly hit the spot. And despite the lack of voice acting for most of their ranks, the music and expressions with the heavy writing never fails to make me cry real tears unlike any other game. Shout out to Naoki Konishi and the old lady. Truly great social links that strengthen the main themes of the game in a very impactful way. Overall, the writing in this game is definitely its strongest point. With its unforgettable characters, great twists, and its impactful themes, it easily manages to make me hooked from start to finish, and for a 60 hours long game, that's insane. Oh yeah, the game's pretty damn long. It made me worried at first, but the more I played it, the more I was hooked in it, to the point that by the credits I was crying because I didn't want it to end. It is that good of an experience. The game also never feels stretchy. The pacing helps with that, as the amount of consistently amazing content keeps coming in. I'd love going into more details, but I genuinely rather you experience it yourself. No amount of non-spoiler talk could give this game's writing enough justice. And with all that said, let's move on to the... Where do I start, man? The soundtrack in Persona 4 Golden is one of my all-time favorites. It blends J-pop and J-rock perfectly by having great daily life songs that are filled with vibes and charms, while also having some of the most hype-fueled boss themed I've ever heard. With the talent of the composer Shoji Meguro and the beautiful vocal performance by Shihoko Hirata, it makes me go through all kind of emotions. Some are filled with an absurd amount of joy and whimsy and put a smile on my face every time I hear them. There's also dungeon themes that give a sense of urgency and distress while still sounding amazing, fitting the context of saving others trapped inside the TV world while being absolute bangers. The emotional weight of many songs in the games is amazing, from the main theme I'll face myself to later ones I won't be showing because of spoilers, and the beautiful credits theme Nevermore that makes the whole journey worth it. There's a lot of great gems to accompany you during your long journey with the game and it never gets old. My personal favorite has to be Snowflakes. It's such a beautiful song that got me tearing up while staring at the screen the first time it played, considering it plays during the last act of the game, indicating that the time you spent with all the characters is coming to an end soon. It's such an impactful addition to the golden content of Persona 4.
Snowflakes
yeah, you can already tell my stance on the OST of this game. It succeeds at being emotional, charming, and exciting, and it elevates the overall experience to a whole new level. Something that Atlus never fails to deliver on is the music aspect of their games, and Persona 4 Golden is not an exception here. Persona 4 Golden is a special game to me. Not only is it my first Atlus game, but it's also one of the only things that helped me through last year of high school. It's a game that blends fun, addictive gameplay with some of the best, most relatable characters I've ever seen in fiction, and strong, impactful themes, and an unforgettable soundtrack, with the golden content that adds more life to an already great video game. It's brilliant and it deserves all the popularity it gained. Persona 4 Golden is a must-play, and don't say that it's a decade-old game or that you'll wait for a remake that you can't play long games. Take it at your own pace. Try things out. It's a masterpiece, I can guarantee that. Is it flawed? In some areas, maybe. Knowing where to find social links can be unclear, making them easily missable, unlike Persona 5 where it makes them very easy to start. But other than that, I got nothing to say. It's a 10 out of 10. It's a game that I will replay as many times as I can, and I can't wait for it to get the remake treatment as well. It's easily accessible on all platforms and it's pretty cheap, so why wouldn't you get it? This video took way longer than it should have. I planned this video a long time ago and I'm still planning on more Persona related essays to come, so if you liked my video, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment with your own personal thoughts on the game. Also check my other socials out, they're in the description down below. This was Hazel from The Hazelnut, and I'll see you all next time.